This is the first impression video of Detective L, 侦探。Hi, you're watching Avenue X. We're a junkie on good storytelling, shares their thoughts, knowledge, and occasional weird ideas on stories and how they're told. Detective L, Chinese name 侦探, literal meaning gentleman detective, but because the lead character's surname is Luo, which is L initial, so it's Detective L. This drama is led by Bai Yu, Yu Jingru, Ji Chen, and it only has 24 episodes. So that's really fresh these days. Most of the dramas are just ridiculously long. Internally, I think within Tencent, they grade their own dramas as like A, B, C, you know. They have their own system. And supposedly this one is their S Plus of 2019, which is Super Plus, which is like the highest you can have within their internal grading system. Whether that's 100% true, I don't know. It's kind of like half myth, half true. So far it has aired 8 episodes, which is a third of it for all the VIPs of Tencent. If you're not, then it's 4 episodes. But anyway, it's gonna finish airing before the last episode of Game of Thrones, so just to let you know, it's really short. In China's standard. This is a case-based detective story set in Mingguo, Shanghai in the early 1930s. Bai Yu plays the detective, obviously, who is supposedly to be very clever and solves cases, and he teams up with a young, freshly entering police force policewoman, played by Yu Jingru, and go and solve cases. So that's the gist. I have already seen the first 8 episodes. I've rewatched the first 4, so I've seen the first 4 twice, and then the next 4 once. I have really complicated feelings about this drama, so I might start to rant a lot in this video, but I'm trying to get my opinion across, and hopefully it will help you if you want to dive into this drama, to give you a good idea about what you should be expecting. Very early on last year, when they started to do this, when photos are coming out, people get a very strong vibe that this is very Sherlocky drama, and obviously as it comes out, it really is. People are kind of expecting that. It has a lot of Sherlock Holmes reference within the story. For example, your lead character is a kind of a genius detective who is a consultant to a police station, who are like, they can't do their job, so you need this guy. And he pairs up with somebody who lives in this drama, not like renting the same flat, but like living across an aisle, renting from the same landlady, not a landlord, so that's the same. You also have some kind of criminal organization that's like a Moriarty person lurking in the background, although right now in 8 episodes you're still not sure about what's going on, and you have very little information about that thing, but it's there, introduced to you right from the beginning of the storytelling, that there's something going on that will definitely lead to the final sort of big ending thing. So when you look at the setup, it is very Sherlocky, and they're not trying to hide from the fact that they really are doing sort of the Chinese version that's set in the 1930s Shanghai, the most metropolitan, the most international city at the time in China, so that they can actually directly pull a lot of visual almost that will remind you of that older times, but the very Western European kind of looks of things. Frankly, we can argue that detective stories these days are heavily influenced by Conan Doyle's work, and I think everything that came after him takes on some part of it, and there have been no shortage, okay, of various adaptations about Sherlock Holmes. So I don't think this is a big problem. It does actually refer a lot to the BBC Sherlock, especially in the first episode. Like the heaviest all the reference are in the first episodes. The setup of his room, the thing about chopping pigs and shooting at walls, and you know, like a lot of those details. If you really are a huge Sherlock fan, you might find that a little bit, why are you doing that? It's like too much alike. But I would say after the first 1 or 2 episodes, that dies down quite a lot, and you don't see those references coming up that often. I am a huge Sherlock fan. I've watched Sherlock I don't know how many times. So whenever something that pops up like that, it's just immediately I'll capture it. I know every sort of reference they did with that. I am actually not super offended. I just wish they could have done something that's more original, that's kind of inspired by the huge IP Sherlock Holmes, but kind of do more of their original creation instead of actually referring so much to the Sherlock show. These are not the biggest problems. Let me talk about what I have problems with this drama. The biggest problem, the eyesore, the big blight in the middle of a really good piece of jade. It's just like a dot right in the middle that makes me hyperventilate as I watch. And then I'm gonna talk about the good things, because this drama does have many good things, but then I want to get it out of my chest and get it out of the way first. The opening title song, or the opening title soundtrack, actually it's not a song, it's just music. If you've watched Sherlock, and you can sing in tune, so you're not like tone deaf, and you can hear the difference between one song and the other. The opening song is, I would say, 80 to 90% like the Sherlock song. The Sherlock song, the game is on, I don't even want to sing that. The way they use the instruments, the music, the way that it's written, I think the chords, even like where things happen, right? Like the arrangement of everything, it's like 80 to 90% like Sherlock. I was super like shocked when I heard that. I was like, what the heck? Did you just basically copy the other show's theme music? Why? And it will show up at times and in different places within the drama, but it's not like everywhere. But the beginning is like every time you hear it, it just stabs you in the chest and makes you like go, why? I don't understand. The thing is, because the person who is in charge, or the person who has the OST under his name, okay, is a really famous OST writer in recent years. He did Part of Guardian. Yeah, he did Suddenly This Summer. He's a really good OST writer. So I do not understand, why would you need to, it really is plagiarizing, okay? A show that is so famous, right? Like, let's think about the past decade, some of the most famous TV shows globally, Game of Thrones, Sherlock. Why would you need to take that and almost just did a reprised version of that song and use it as your theme? I can't accept it. It just makes me so embarrassed. I literally feel sweat rolling down my back. I'm like, no. How am I supposed to introduce this drama to the rest of the world? It kind of destroyed my experience with this drama, because if it didn't have this problem, I would be that much more happier about Detective L. Unfortunately, now every time I hear it popping up right where I'm watching whatever plot, I either have to lower the volume to the point that I can't hear it, or I'll just suddenly start to talk to myself, or just shout randomly so that my voice is like louder than the screen, so I wouldn't be able to hear that music, because I literally feel completely embarrassed by listening to that and hearing it showing up while the drama is playing. And I don't believe the people who work in Tencent do not know it sounds like Sherlock. And it certainly would not be possible if this guy just write a random piece that just happened to sound exactly like 90% like Sherlock's theme song. Come on. You're kidding me, right? You copied it. Why do you have to do it? You're not a bad writer. You can write good stuff. And you can create a completely new theme for our own stuff. Like, why? Do not talk to me about paying tribute, okay? Paying tribute and blatantly copy a whole song are different things. Because of this music, it destroys a lot of other people's work that have nothing to do with music. For example, the actors, right? They had no control of the music. They didn't even know what it would sound like while they were filming it. It's unfair to the prop design, it's unfair to the set design, it's unfair to the costume people, everybody, okay? Unfair to the cameraman who put their hard work there in the frame. But because the music that's laid in the background, that it just destroys everything and makes it so cringy. I'm just really angry at that point, so I'm ranting a lot, and I just think it's unforgivable. I love detective stories. It's one of my favorite types of stories. When I see one that is like really good and has potential to kind of like become not like masterpieces, but a really good one for a long time to come, and it gets this, it's just like, it just slapped across my own face. It's just really bad. Now, I've vented about the biggest thing that I really hate and I think it's wrong about this drama. Let's talk about the things I love. Pretty much everything else is really lovable. Now, it's not perfect. I will get to talk about the things I think that can be improved, that will make this show much better. But first, production quality is ace in terms of being a web drama. It is so much better actually than a lot of drama that goes on satellite TV. Camera work, really good. Actually not my favorite type, especially the angles are not always my favorite. And also how they get cut together. But I think it's just a personal thing. Finally, you have a really normal, beautiful, rich color grading that makes things look well contrasted, well defined, but not like blown out, not like touched up like crazy. People have real skin texture. There's real contrast, there's real shadow and light. Color is really cinematic and rich. So that side is really, really good. I wouldn't say highly stylized. I would say slightly stylized and very well done. Set design is beautiful because the apartment obviously will be one of the most important sets. A lot of stuff happened there. Also, this is building up to 1930s Shanghai, so they have a lot of exterior. Like every exterior of Shanghai is shot in the same place, okay? And these days in China, it looks very familiar, but I think the team did a good job of creating their own version. There's a lot of details, really textured and beautiful on screen. So set design, probably one of the best I've seen in recent years in Chinese dramas. Costume design is just wow. The costume design should get like this in this drama. There's materiality is really good. There's no material that shouldn't exist in that period exist in this drama. Everything looks very in the right time and the styles, because Bai Yu's character Luo Fei is a very well-off detective, well-educated and very sort of westernized. So all his gears, right, his hats, his outfits, his everything about him looks so dashing on screen. And I think he changes one outfit every day. In the drama, right, it's next day, he changes something. He wears something different. I'm like, wow, you have more clothes than the girl. You're like, he is the female lead in terms of having enough costumes, right? He just has so many good coats, so many good suits. If you like eye candy, well, this drama will give you 100%. It's like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, that one is even better. Like everything he wears is good looking, let's just say. So these aspects are brilliant. Now let's talk about something I think that are important, obviously, for detective dramas. That is the detective stories. Are the cases actually interesting? So for this drama, every 2.5 episodes, there's one case. So in the third episode, they would finish the previous case and start the next case. It has been like this. So for the first 8 episodes, they are into the fourth one, and then they haven't reviewed the fourth one yet. So the fourth one just started. And each case are very distinctive and they are not necessarily linked, but occasionally you see a tiny hint dropped that you know it's gonna lead to later stuff. So far, the 3 or so cases are okay. By okay, I mean they didn't have obvious logic problems. Like they make sense, and the process of finding out the answer makes sense. But when I say okay is first, nothing surprised me, because I've watched a lot of detective stories. I think I have too much of an expectation in the terms of like hoping actually something would come and I completely didn't see it. But I don't blame them, because it's really hard to write something like that. It's almost like the writer has to be so much more cleverer than the audience to be able to, you know, because literally you can't write a character that's like more cleverer than you, because it doesn't work. Like you cannot perceive the higher IQ person's perspective. Yeah, I don't know for the future cases whether there will be at least one that would do that. I highly doubt that, because judging from the quality of the first 3 cases, I see where the level is in terms of how brain-racking it will get. And occasionally there is logic problems, like when you're trying to think through the things they say, you realize they actually make mistakes. There are actually slips, and I think it's in the script writings. I wish they could avoided that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too picky. When the whole thing finishes airing, I probably will do a blog post and point out where are the things that actually doesn't work out, like it's weird or it's plainly just wrong. So I'm okay with the cases because they're not bad. They're just not good enough to surprise me. Then I think there are 2 things that occasionally takes me out of the story a little bit or makes me a little bit unsatisfied with it. The first thing is the character Luo Fei, the lead role. It's written in a way that will inevitably remind you, because it's acted by the same actor, remind you of his previous illustration in Guardian of Zhao Yunlan, because Zhao Yunlan is a detective, and that type of, like, his mannerism occasionally pops up in Luo Fei's mannerism as well. But Luo Fei is even more dramatic and sort of more goofy. Like, he's a really goofy character. Zhao Yunlan is occasionally goofy, but he's goofy in a very contemporary 21st century way, whereas Luo Fei is more goofy while we project the old time people who would be wearing hats and then, you know, suits and standing like that and doing a little bit of those little mannerisms that probably contemporary people don't have anymore. And occasionally they're just his expressions, they're the ways he moves, that just reminds me of Zhao Yunlan. I wish his character would be completely departure from his previous works. Obviously, this also is, there's a plane, so sorry about if you're hearing it. I think it's obviously also because it's his previous big dramas. In between, nothing. Like, there's no major drama of his coming out. So obviously, the closest memory would be Guardian. And because Guardian is so special to me and I practically remembers every facial expression he's made in that drama a million times, I've seen it. So it reminds me of Zhao Yunlan. I wish it didn't happen like that, but, you know, like, it's almost had to happen because the way they wrote Luo Fei. And I think they did it intentionally, because if they've written it as Sherlock, it will be too much like Sherlock. People probably will have a lot of things to say about the drama, right? And that's not good. So they intentionally write him as a completely different character in terms of personality. They gave that sociopathic side to the MD person, the team, the person who cuts up bodies, who is like sort of the second lead. I'm not sure if you can call him second lead. So far he hasn't had that much screen time, but probably will have more. So they kind of give that part of the character to the other person. But because of doing that, right, it reminds you of Zhao Yunlan. So I guess you can't get out of it. You just have to have one thing. Either it's too much like Sherlock, or it's a little bit like Zhao Yunlan. Yeah, deal with it. So that's one thing I'm not 100% love. But because of who I am, right, because of where I am from, if you haven't seen his previous work, that wouldn't be a problem. The second thing is I have a little bit problem with the pacing of this drama. This drama doesn't drag. It really doesn't. I think it actually progresses too fast at times. In this type of story where you have individual cases, so the excitement of solving a case is a big part of the story, but also you have a through line, which is the main character's through line, and you already get introduced to that in the first episode. If you watch it, you'll know. So they have, the lead character has his sort of own traumatic background, right, that will link through everything and then leading to the big final stuff. When you have this type of setup, it's very typical for detective stories. You need to balance the excitement of the cases and the progression of the character, personal life, their personal side, and also you need to give the audience gradually, right, reasons and informations to know the leads, the male lead, the female lead, multiple important story people, how their story eventually come together. So you need to do a really organic blend of the cases and the people and characters. I don't think it has done a brilliant job at that. I feel there's a lack. At least it's already a third of the whole drama, and I still feel they haven't actually given enough breathing room, enough time for people to actually sit down and have a little bit intimate time in terms of audience and the character, right? To get to know them as people. Because so far, you know, very superficial. You literally know them like bulletin points about their past. You know very little about other things. And there's very little personal moment happening that gives you that emotional connection. So far, I've enjoyed the storytelling. I haven't fallen in love with any of the characters. Not even Luo Fei. I absolutely adored Guardian, and I am happy with his acting. I think he's done a good job. But the thing is, I haven't fallen in love with his character yet through a third of this drama. I feel that's a little bit problem because you are already at the third mark and you still haven't pulled me here. Like when you think about Guardian, right? That would be like over episode 13. If you want to know where episode 13 is, it's like that fake shooting Professor Shen happened. That's already the point where these two characters are like, their personal chemistry is already like blowing up everywhere, and you actually like, I don't know if you like it, you're crazy about them already. But this drama, right? 8 episodes into 24, I'm still like, yeah, he's really good looking on screen, but so what? I haven't actually fallen in love with any of the main characters. I enjoy them. If they're actually friends in my life, it's not like if they call me at 2 a.m., right? I'll be happy to answer the call. I probably would just say, what the heck are you doing? That is the thing. I'm not very happy. I think it's largely due to how they structure the story. They really didn't give you space and time to slow down and fall in love with the characters. If you watch this drama, you'll feel like its pace, at least I feel the pace is at a relatively fast pace, but very steady. You feel the beats are like da 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 da, unchanging. There's no slowing down. There's no sort of expansion and contraction. There's no very strong contrast between extremely fast pacing a part and then slowing down and relaxing and probably talking a little bit more about the character stuff. And the second case ends really abruptly, and it doesn't really give it a really good ending. And the wrap up, like the final sort of review of what happened so, okay, that's it? Like, hold on, let me think about that. That's really weird. Does it actually make sense? And then they were like, okay, it ends here. Let's just go into next one. When you watch the drama, you'll see what I mean. I wish they didn't do it like that. There's like just lack of finesse of dealing with how you link stuff together, how you slow down and speed up, like how you control the rhythm, right? The rhythm, the breathing of this drama is like hyperventilating all the time and no time to stop. So that's a problem. I've said a lot about this drama. I think because I'm really passionate, I had high expectations. Certain things disappointed me a lot. Certain things are not like huge disappointment, but I wish it could be better. That's why I'm like ranting a lot. In the end, I would say this is definitely a drama worth watching. It is much higher quality than most of the web dramas you're gonna see. Not even this year, probably in a long time to come, because current Chinese web drama is like... There are many things about this drama that are actually deserves a bit this, because in current Chinese drama environment it's really hard to do full-on good work, and it doesn't waste your time. It might actually make you feel, I wish you're actually slower and give me more time to think, because I feel like I've been rushed through so much stuff and I haven't had time to sit down and with the characters and feel them. Like, it's just... And you've been warned, if you really are extremely sensitive with OST like me, you need to brace yourself, okay? And find your ways if you want to go through this drama. Find your ways to deal with the fact that when that song comes up, you need to have a way to sit through it and still watch, because sometimes it's important, right? Like, it's actually important plot, so you cannot not watch it, but the music is in background, you can't take it out. So dive in with caution. That's what I would say. Thank you for watching Avenue X, and have a great Easter weekend. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.